to express his views. So that's how we're going to run the meeting. Only those present here in the chamber will be able to vote. I hope that explains it all. We'll get started straight away with the agenda. The first item is apologies for absence, and we have apologies from Councillor Parkin and Councillor Foster. Are there any others that we need to record?
None received, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Alan. And then the next item is declarations of interest. Are there any that anyone wishes to report?
Again, none received, Chair.
Okay. And then the minutes of the last meeting held on the 20th of May. I'm happy to move that we accept them. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Powell. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much. And then the next item then is the council plan performance update. So I'll hand over to Kath Drury, if you can just give us a quick summary of the paper, Kath. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I will do. So as you can see from the report, just over half the targets at Q4, which ends end of March, are on track. 21% have been achieved so far at that point in time, and 25% of the targets have been affected by COVID. Obviously, going forward at Q1, we will be expecting a big reduction in that figure as the national restrictions have lifted, and obviously now our leisure centres are open and we've started, we've resumed such things as environmental health enforcement work. So the council is back operating under more normal circumstances. So that will be reflected in the Q1 report. Just a few things to pick out on the report by aim. Under the economy aim, just to note that Eco 20 is shown as overdue, but we are expecting that to be signed off at Q1. So no concerns there. Under environment, we just to confirm that number 5 failed for 2021, as we reported a couple of times now. Obviously, we're expecting that to improve in the next financial year. There's additional resource that's gone into plan enforcement, so we expect that to pick up going forward. Under residents, good to see that a few have been achieved there with the video remote interpreting solution being live and the grants reaching its target on the community action grant front. And then lastly, under services, target number 18 is overdue. That's the council's petition scheme, and there's a recommendation to extend that to December 21, and it's fully expected the work will be done and dusted within that timescale. And that concludes the report, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Kath, for that. Are there any comments from any cabinet members? I think the only thing I would just say is that when cabinet have discussed this paper, I think in terms of the second recommendation, although we appreciate there has been some delay with that, with achieving that target, and obviously there is some work ongoing, I think all of us felt a bit uncomfortable about extending the time frame. I think we'd probably prefer to just leave it as overdue, appreciating that it is going to take longer. So if there's no, I'm assuming there's no problem with that in terms of the way that we report it, it'll just continue to be labelled as overdue.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. What we'll do is we'll just pull through in the commentary that the revised date that we're working to, but we'll leave the status as overdue so it's clear for reporting purposes. Yeah,
okay. If everyone's happy with that, then I'll move that we accept recommendation 1 and leave it at that. Thank you. That's seconded by Councillor Cupit. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much. And then we come to the paper on recommissioning the voluntary and community sector infrastructure support to groups in North East Derbyshire. So I will hand over to Councillor Powell to talk to this paper.
Thank you, Chairman. Over a period of time, there have been some issues with the delivery of what we want in this context. This is quite a small part of our overall budget for support that we give across North East Derbyshire, but it nevertheless is a significant one. So what we are proposing is that we effectively go out to tender, I suppose, and procure a system that is based on what outcomes we want rather than what people might be prepared to give us. We need it to be completely and utterly aligned with the council plan, with all our aims and aspirations. And we also want to make sure that it is monitored adequately. I will recommend it to you. It is an important piece of work that we need to procure. I know Steve Lee and Tris Burdett and the team have worked very hard to try and come up with a solution that actually gives us what we want. So unless there are any questions, Chair, I will move that we accept the recommendations contained in items 1 and 2. And that's to agree to commissioning of an external organisation to deliver an outcomes-based approach to support the community and voluntary sector in North East Derbyshire for an initial period of 6 months from 1st of October to March next year, and agree the flexibility to extend the contract subject to budget availability and a regular 3-monthly review and assessment to measure its impact.
I'm happy to second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Powell and Councillor Rennick. Are there any comments anyone wishes to make in relation to this paper?
Just to say, Chair, that I think it really is important to look at the impact. This is quite a significant sum to give to voluntary organisations, and I think look at the impact, make sure it aligns with our council's plan and our aspirations is really key at this time.
Absolutely, fully agree, Councillor Rennick. Thank you very much for that. Okay, is there anything that Steve or Tris wish to add just while you're on the call?
Not from me, Chair. I think we've covered everything. Thank you, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Steve. In that case, I'll move to the vote then. So all those in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much. And then the next paper is the Green Homes Grant update paper, which is a part Councillor Powell paper and part Councillor Kenyon. I think the first part is more, it's a bit of both, but it's probably more Councillor Powell. So I'll invite Councillor Powell at first to speak, and then Councillor Kenyon, if that's okay.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, we have some very old housing stock across North East Derbyshire, which is quite troublesome in many ways, one of which is to keep tenants warm and safe. We've been very fortunate over the last 12 months to get some significant government grants to insulate these homes and to generally upgrade them. The first part of that was in Mickley, and that is largely complete and has been very successful. And now we have received funding, which we will add to from our own resources to go across the area and significantly improve what we call these trad homes. I think that's all I need to say, to be honest, Chair, unless Councillor Kenyon, I'm sure, will want to add about the climate change aspect of the work that we're doing.
Thank you, Councillor Powell. I'll hand over to Councillor Kenyon.
Yes, as Councillor Powell says, we have a set of houses that are our council housing. About half our council housing are extremely inefficient housing. It was built after the Second World War on basically an urgent basis because we needed housing. So they're prefabricated concrete blocks, single skin, hard to heat, and unfortunately that means expensive to heat. And not only that, they tend to be the poorer residents that end up living in these. So it's sort of a combination of bad factors. And that we've received, I think, is about £2 million now in funding to address these, and the council's rescheduled our capital programme to add to that funding. So it's sort of a win-win. It reduces the energy costs significantly, it makes the houses much nicer to live in, and also they actually look significantly better because for those who know the concrete built houses, they look tatty after a few years is the best way to describe it. But when they're redone, they actually look decent houses, and that has a an uplift on the whole area wherever we do this work. For the second part of the report, what's become clear as well, though, is that you need to plan for the long term with this kind of housing. And at the moment, the funding streams, they come and they go. It's good at the moment, there's a lot available, but you really need to be planning on a 5 to 10 year timescale at least, because we've got another 2,500, I think, of these in northeast Derbyshire alone, and across Derbyshire there's tens of thousands. And if we're going to achieve the 2050 climate goals, what we need to be doing is creating an environment where companies can invest in the staffing, the materials, the equipment to apply this sort of external wall insulation at scale on, well, across the country, probably many hundreds of thousands of houses of what it come down to usually about 20 different types. So as part of Vision Derbyshire, we've got an initiative with all the districts and the county to bring together a proposal for a sustained funding programme that we will put to government, and hopefully with the support of all our 8 MPs in Derbyshire as well, and get a long-term solution to this, because it's not getting any better. The houses are some of the least efficient in the district, in the county, and if we're going to achieve those goals, we've got to have a serious plan for it. And I think it's being well received so far with the various, I don't know if Lee wants to say anything about, I don't know if there's a meeting this week, Lee?
Well, I think you've covered it all. Just in terms of how it's been received, everybody's certainly on board, and the opportunity that presents itself using Derbyshire as a footprint and the level of impact that can have, centralising effort, avoiding duplication, keeps it more efficient. But I think you've covered the point well, Councillor Kenyon. It's about developing that pipeline so that the industry, cleaner, greener economic opportunities for growth around that very subject matter. This proposition allows for that to develop, and I guess that's the crux of it and the key point. But yeah, it's well received so far. We've got a Vision Derbyshire meeting on the 2nd of July, or 4th of July maybe, where we're hoping to discuss that paper that is now in final draft form.
I think somebody else would need to move the recommendations in the report.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Kenyon and Lee, and Councillor Powell. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'd like to move the recommendation in item 1, which is that we note the progress of the delivery of the incredibly successful Business Energy and Industrial Strategy Green Homes Grant, to give it its full title, and also perhaps on behalf of Councillor Kenyon to move that we accept item 2 in the recommendations, that we note the overview of the proposed Derbyshire-wide collaboration and to deliver, which will ultimately deliver large-scale climate change and interventions across the whole of the county. I'm happy to move, Chair.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Rennick and Councillor Powell. And just for me to add my thanks to Councillor Kenyon and Councillor Powell, as well as all of our officers and partners at Ricknold for their work together on this project. And I think it's both projects, both the Green Homes Grant project, as has already been outlined, is a fantastic opportunity. It really shows that the district really cares about investing in our housing and tackling or doing our bit to tackle climate change at the same time. So it's a really, really good scheme, and I fully support and endorse the wider Derbyshire-wide Vision Derbyshire project, and hope that we can take that from strength to strength and gather the support that we need from our MPs and government as well, hopefully longer term. So yeah, fully endorse the paper and very pleased to see it brought forward. So thank you very much. We'll move to the vote then on that basis. So all those in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much. And then the next item is the Ricknold Homes business plan. So I'll hand over to Councillor Powell again.
That's me again. Sorry about that. Every year, Ricknold Homes, which is of course our housing partner, have to produce their own business plan. It's their business plan, not ours. It's slightly complicated this year because we were on the brink of signing a new management agreement with Ricknold, which takes into account the recent government white paper on housing, which gives the council a lot more responsibilities. So what I'm proposing, Chairman, is that we agree to note the Ricknold Homes business plan from 2021 to 2024, but also to agree a 6 months review of that plan, and to and that review, the purpose of that review will be to review it in the light of the new management agreement, which, as I say, will be signed very shortly. So that's my recommendation, Chair. As I say, it's a Ricknold report. It's very full. It's very comprehensive, but it might be subject to change once the agreement has been reached. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Powell. I'm happy to second that. Are there any comments from anyone? Anyone wishes to make any comments? I think the only thing I would add is that I think moving, it's pleasing to see that we will be reviewing this in light of the new management agreement, etc. I think one of the key aspects where we need to see some more detail, I think, follows on from the last discussion around climate change. Really, I think that's one area where I think all of us as Cabinet would really like to see some more focus and more, more detail. Really, I think. So that's a key area, and obviously look forward to seeing it if it's revised in the future.
Yeah, I could add, Councillor Dale, that Councillor Kenyon and myself had a meeting with Ricknold only yesterday, specifically about climate change aspects of the plan moving forward. So progress is already being made, Chair.
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you very much. So unless there's any other further comments, I'm happy to move to the vote. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried. And stupidly turn the microphone off. Then we move to urgent items, of which there are none, and then the exclusion of the public. So thank you very much for joining us, if you have done today, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. So on that basis, I move that the public be excluded from the meeting during the discussion of the following items of business to avoid the disclosure to them of exempt information as defined in Part 1 of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972. I think that's it. Thank you very much.